Hey y'all! So today's video is about the best pens for note taking. I'll be testing out these 10 pens in a sort of battle of the pens kind of thing with a few different tests to determine which one is the absolute best pen for note taking. So I'm going to first start out by introducing all 10 of the pens. So one of the tests we're going to be doing is a highlighter test. So I'm going to be using this Sharpie highlighter. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the testing. And I've ordered them from my least favorite to my most favorite, starting out with the Jot gel pen. So this gel pen was from Dollar Tree, so I wasn't really expecting much. It was only 33 cents. It came in a pack of 3, but I actually really liked it, honestly. So the positives are that there is no skipping so far. It's skinny yet comfortable. It has really smooth ink, and I love needlepoint pens, and this is a needlepoint pen, so it has my heart. And it's 0.5 millimeter, which I also love. It's my favorite thickness of pens, I guess. But the negatives are that it does smear, and it feels kind of cheap, I guess, because it was like 30 cents. So it's not very sturdy, but if you're on a budget and you're right-handed, it's a really good option for you guys. In ninth place is the Zebra Sarasa clip in the 0.5 millimeter. So this pen is pretty cool because it does clip at the top, which is nice right there. Cool thing, that's a nice addition. The pen's alright, but personally I think it's ugly, so I ranked it here. Okay, so the positives are that it's pretty comfortable to write with, it's pretty dark, and the clip is nice. But the negatives, oh, and it comes with a lot of colors as well. But the negatives are that it smears, as with most gel pens, and it's not aesthetically pleasing, and the smoothness is inconsistent with the other colors. With the black, it's really smooth for a real long time, but the other colors, it tends to skip pretty early on into using the pen, so that's annoying. It's a good pen. It's just not that cute. That's why I put it here. LOL. In 8th place, we have the Muji Gel Ink pen in the 0.38 millimeter, which is a big shocker. I really was surprised by how low I had to rank this one, but it just didn't compare as to the other pens, mostly because of how uncomfortable it is and the smearing. So the positives are that it is aesthetically pleasing. I think it is pretty cute for a pen, and it has lots of color options. It's not too scratchy considering it is 0.38 millimeters. I would expect it to be a little bit scratchier, but it wasn't bad at all. And it doesn't skip, which is really nice. It's a high quality pen. It's just the negatives are that it has no grip on it, so it's not comfortable to take notes with long term. And it could be darker, and it does smear, as you can see here. It definitely does smear. So those are my negatives with this pen. But it's a pretty good pen, honestly. It is pretty good. In 7th place, we have the Uniball Signo 207 in the 0.7 millimeter. So this pen surprised me too, but in a good way. Maybe because the 0.5 version of this pen sucks, like it's terrible, but this pen was actually kind of nice, so I'm really happy about that. But it was mainly the smearing that made me rank it here. So the positives are that it's very comfortable, it's really comfortable. It's very dark. It writes pretty smoothly, and it has a lot of color options, and it's very accessible. It's available in Target, Walmart, places like that. But the negatives are that it does smear, as you can see a little bit here, and then you can see it really with the highlighter portion. It does smear a little bit, and it tends to skip even when there's a lot of ink left. That's one thing that I notice as I write with, like I used to use these pens in middle school, and the more you write with it, the more it skips. So that's something to note. But besides that, it's really dark, it's really nice, and yeah. In sixth place, we have the Ink R2 Precision in the 0.5 millimeter. Again, I was pleasantly surprised by this pen because it's only 50 cents because it came in a pack of 2 from Dollar Tree, and it didn't smear despite it being a gel pen, which is rare. So I'm very happy about that. So the positives are that it has a really thick barrel, making it super comfortable to write with, and it is quite dark, as you can see as I start to write with it. It is pretty dark, and it didn't smear, which is amazing. So that's why it's ranked like so high up. But the negatives are that it doesn't write as a 0.5 millimeter pen. The ink spreads when you write on paper, so it kind of spreads to look more like a 0.7, which is troublesome for me because I have really small handwriting generally, so I like the 0.5 pens. It only comes in black, and it feels cheap, like it'll break easily, but it was 50 cents, so there's that. And it would be better if it were retractable. I prefer retractable pens, just a personal preference. So those are my negatives, but it is a really good option for if you're on a budget, and if you're left-handed, I would definitely go for this pen. In fifth place, we have the Pilot Juice pen in the 0.5 millimeter. I did run out of the black pen, so I just brought out the blue black. It's basically the same thing. All right, so let's get into the pen. I really like this pen, but I had to put it in fifth place just because it smears. If it didn't smear, this would be like my number one or number two, but it does smear, so I had to rank it lower. So the positives are that it has a very comfortable grip. It's a nice design, in my opinion. I think it's really cute. The clip is nice, it's a nice addition, and it has lots of color options online. It's dark and it doesn't skip at all. You can use this pen till there's no ink left and it doesn't skip. The negatives are that it's very skinny, so there's not very much ink in there, but it's also not very expensive as a pen, so you can just buy more. And it does smear, as you can see here, which is my main negative. But if it didn't smear, it would be my favorite pen ever. In fourth place, we have the Bic Atlantis Exact pen in the fine or the 0.5 millimeter. And look, it has a needlepoint. I love a needlepoint pen, but this is a ballpoint pen, and I tend to not like ballpoint pens. Generally, they don't have very many color options, and especially in the 0.5 millimeter, which is my preferred tip size, and they tend to not be very dark either. But the positives for this pen is that it does not smear at all, and it's super comfortable. It feels sturdy. It's a nice quality pen, and I love needlepoint pens with a passion. Like, I love it. The negatives are that it only comes in black, and it's not very dark. It's not very opaque. It's more of a dark gray than anything, and it's not the most smooth pen, which again tends to be a commonality with ballpoint pens that are smaller tip sizes, but it doesn't smear, which is great. In third place is the Bic Atlantis in the 0.7 millimeter. So I added the sound back into that clip so you could hear the clicking sound. There's really no clicking sound in this pen. That's what makes it kind of special. It's called a smooth click, so you don't hear the click. That's a positive that you have with this pen. It also doesn't smear. It's very comfortable. It's a very sturdy, nice quality pen, and it has more color options than the Bic Atlantis Exact from earlier. So that's why I ranked it a little bit higher. But the negatives are that it's still not very dark and it could be smoother. But these are both great options for left-handed people because they don't smear. In second place is the Pentel Energel liquid gel ink in the 0.5 millimeter. I love this pen. My main issue was that it took a while for it to start writing smoothly, but once I started writing for a bit, it writes like a dream. I think because I've had this pen for such a long time without using it, I'm talking like 5 years without using it, I think the ink just got kind of stuck in there. But I've had this one before and it writes beautifully. It writes amazingly. So my positives are that it has really smooth writing. After the initial skipping, it writes really smoothly. It's a thicker pen, so it's more comfortable to write with. It's very dark, very dark. Considering that it's 0.5 millimeter, that's rare. And I love needlepoint pens. Y'all already know I love needlepoint pens. My negatives are that it skipped at the beginning and it only comes in black, which sucks. The point .7 comes in more colors, but point .5 only comes in black. And the barrel is really big and hollow, so it breaks easily. But look, no smearing. That's crazy. But yeah, the barrel is hollow, so it breaks easily. So I wouldn't put this in a pencil bag or anything like that because it will break. Like it will break. But for writing at a desk, it's perfect. And in first place, we have the Pilot G2 in the 0.38 millimeter. I'm sure this is no surprise to most of you guys. The hype for this pen is definitely justified. So the positives are that it's pretty comfortable, it's pretty dark, it's not scratchy, which is surprising for it being a 0.38. Usually smaller tip pens are really scratchy, but this one isn't, and it writes very smoothly. The negatives are that it smears just a tiny, tiny bit. But that's my only negative for this pen. So the point .5 version of this pen comes in a lot of colors. The point .38 only comes in black. But with the point .5, there's a little bit more smearing. So if you're left-handed, I can comfortably recommend the point .38 to you. But the point .5, I would test it out and just be aware that it might smear on you. But overall, it's a very nice pen. And yeah, it's a great option for note taking. And that's it. These are my best pens for note taking. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up and click that subscribe button for me. Thanks for watching, and I will see y'all next time. Bye!